Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, the 3rd of January. So, Happy New Year to you all. Hope you've had a great Christmas break and are looking forward to this year. So, just a reminder, if you're watching this, there is a link on the YouTube site there to join me in the trading room for the next few days. So, that will cover you, the link from today will cover you for the next couple of days. If you want to come and join me. So let's go and look at the markets then. Firstly, before I talk about the markets themselves, or say talk about the markets, but look at the technicals. Let's just look very quickly at where we are in terms of the calendar-wise today. So the 3rd of January, got the right date. So we've got FOMC speaker there at 1:30, then 3 o'clock. Not a lot happening here today. We've got the previous FOMC meeting minutes coming out as well at 7 p.m. this evening. So that in itself may give us a bit more volatility. We saw the governor given a more dovish tone like in the last meeting, etc. Well, we'll see how dovish it is when it comes to see the minutes, but the markets have been betting on a cut in interest rates up until certainly through December there, and we've sort of saw some worry, some concerns about them earlier on. Now, and we then subsequently we've seen. Yesterday we saw the sell-off in the euro. Here's a dollar strength coming through here, so a little bit of dollar strength coming through. Now we're in that point with the markets where, well, we'll just personally I'm probably very unlikely to trade today. But I need to see them settle down a little bit. So it's just after, it just really into the early new year. It's worth just letting them settle a tiny bit. There's what I'm seeing here is this lighter white level pivot here is the new yearly pivot. So the price is almost on it. So it's not far off it. It may just draw it. The one above it is the quarterly pivot. So we've got the quarterly pivot, yearly pivot sitting there at the moment, which well, we'll see whether which is the strongest. Morning, and Dean. What I'm looking for really is I'm expecting from my bigger analysis for some slight dollar weakness going through. I think it will be shown more against like the likes of the Aussie, the New Zealand, the CAD, and certainly the yen. I think the euro, the pound, a lot of the European markets are in the same sort of boat, and well, I think whilst the interest rates would be held on the pound longer, well, maybe even the euro, we'll see. But certainly there's a price in expectation that rates are going to be cut quite quickly into the new year in the US. Anyway, so how's that going to affect us? Well, I'll just let us settle out here today, see what happens, but I am looking for a bounce, ideally even on the euro. Whilst I don't expect it to go flying, I expect we could get a bounce at some stage and a push further up here. Then, as I say, there could be better markets to be trading this. Actually, if I come back to the euro moment, I've just realised I just switched off the euro. Then haven't gone through the lower time frames for today. See what's happening here. Okay, for some reason we've got it's alright, my system's running on a bit of a delay. I should have closed it off and rebooted it, and it's there we go, completely, but I'll let it run anyway. There's the retracement on the euro dollar there that I was just discussing, 60-minute wise. It's quite messy into this new year here. It's no shock here to see the 29th, an awful day. That's why that trade on it. And running through into this year, what I'm looking at the moment is questioning whether here's the daily pivot, whether it's going to just run into a daily pivot and continue this short-term downtrend as we run through the rest of this week. We'll see. But So that's what it's sort of mixed overall. I expect it to start pushing up at some stage. It's a bit more upside, but we got the, as I say, we've got the potential for the downside there as well. The pound dollar. Now the pound just looking at a little bit, well, iffier. um, we've just seen a bit of divergence over these highs here. It's retraced the same as the euro has. Lower time frames, lower highs. Sorry, I'll just come back to the daily again. There's the new yearly pivot. Yeah, it is the yearly. Yep, just checking. New yearly pivot sitting just underneath us. Got monthly pivot just above, but would like to see the move off of the yearly pivots. That would be my ideal scenario, to see that sort of the price starting to move off that. Again, I don't expect quite such a so much strength against the dollar with the pound as we go through the first couple of quarters, but I still think we'll get a reasonable move up there. Dollar yen. So the dollar yen, I'm watching this too. I want to be on the short side of the dollar yen in the bigger picture. Again, we've got the monthly pivot above there at the moment. It's retracing, just softening against the dollar at this stage. It may be, as I say, traders got a bit too aggressive towards the end of the last year. Let's just see what happens. But I'm looking at that monthly pivot there. Short term, it's a bit ugly what's going on. We've got a quarterly pivot sitting up there, which could be a draw as well. So we've got a few things there. It's got higher lows, higher highs. So structurally, we've seen a turn in this market at this stage. So it's got a bit of a turn running on there. Not so obvious actually on the when you go up to the 4 hourly. I'm just extending this. There we go. So we're pretty close to this trend line. The sort of here. The significant trend line that's sitting there. So it's yep, it could break. It's, as I say, it's put the higher low in, as you can see on this 4 hourly picture. I guess the big question is it going to push up? If it does, it might just break that trend line into the monthly pivot, and that again, as I'll be looking on the short side of as we run through, particularly into next week. Aussie dollar, you see how positive this was relative to, say, the pound. It's broken right the way through here. Has it again pulled back towards its yearly pivot that's sitting there, and monthly pivot just touching below there. Just come down the time frames. It again has put a lower high in, so it has shown a bit of weakness in the intermediate time frame. We might just get it come off a tad more. Hourly's looking quite ugly and choppy at the moment, but again looking soft as we starting the year here. But let's see what happens if it catches into these pivots down, the monthly and the yearly pivot. See if we can get it. It got a lovely move off it last month. Well, it's not guaranteeing that we'll get one this month, but it's certainly still in that decent shape with the high lows, high highs, bigger picture. Canadian dollar. So the Canadian dollar here, again, this is inverted effectively. It's US Canadian, so looking really at the short side on this. Again, we've got the monthly pivot here and the yearly pivot. Both might provide some resistance as we push back into those. Again, short term, we've got the higher lows coming through. I say short term, intermediate. It's broken the intermediate trend for sure, where it has put some divergences in at the end of the last week. I'm just sort of looking at this. Certainly, for now, we could be pushing up some more. It's got some scope. Just looking across the time frame. Sorry, backward and forwards a little bit. There's the daily pivot is below us on the here. I will let this work its way out into the afternoon to get a better idea of what's going, but would be keen to look at the monthly and yearly pivots. New Zealand dollar. The New Zealand dollar, the moment not looking wonderful on here. It's just looking. It's got the potential to come off. Sorry. Sorry, I was looking at a different screen on my other system. It's not looking that bad at all. It's really following the Aussie dollar. It's a lot stronger than the likes of the euro and the pound against the US dollar. It's through its monthly pivot here, coming back towards that yearly pivot. But it's certainly got potential. So I'd let the short term or intermediate term finish their moves here. Nice move into the daily pivot at the moment. Does look like it's got potential for further downside. Now, I haven't looked through in a lot of detail at the moment the other cross pairs. We'll be doing that in the trading room in a short while. As I say, there's a link on this YouTube video at the bottom there. If you want to come and join me for the day, you can come through, or for the rest of the week, come to think of it. You can come and join, and we'll run through the rest of the analysis there. Quick switch across to look at gold and oil. Gold first. Let's come to the dailies here. Gold has edged its way back up towards the end of last month. It's sitting there now, again on some support. If we was to see a weaker US dollar, well, of course, gold can benefit from that. We've got up to the body highs and broken the body highs here a little bit from what we saw, those highs in December, early December there. It's where really we can get back up to where it peaked. It's got some scope. It's got the higher lows coming through there, not at this point here, but certainly back here, the higher lows. So we have got scope to see further upside. Oil, well, it's back on the downside here at the moment. Last few days it's been running to the downside. It's below its monthly pivot at the moment. It had looked quite decent. Lower highs running through there. There's a lot of sort of worldwide slowing up in growth, and I think that's really going to be knocking on this oil price for a while, or holding it back a little bit more. Certainly, it's something I would be looking more on the short side than the long side at the moment, but doesn't even really want to come back up to towards its daily pivot at the moment. Right, the markets, S&Ps, well, we've seen that these. We saw the Santa Claus rally, but it's sold off as we've sort of on the Friday. It started coming off there, sold off yesterday. Maybe some profit taking going on here, but again, this is largely built up on the expectation of interest rates being cut earlier sooner rather than later in the US. Whether they've over expected or we'll see. It's going to be a more difficult year with elections, etc., going on in the US. Dow Jones, just a similar picture. It's actually holding on a little bit better, nearer the top. In fact, it's the Dow Jones that the Santa Claus rally analysis was done on. The Nasdaq selling off here. The big seven really all coming off yesterday. Seeing a retracement back to its monthly pivot there for now. We'll see how this holds up. It could just catch a bounce. The DAX, for those that are following the DAX, still holding up around those highs there. In fact, it had creeping up there. Lots of sort of solid retraces and ugly price action, but the trend itself for the FTSE has been largely to the upside. From where it's sitting at the moment, again, it's got a yearly pivot sitting below and the monthly pivot sitting below. It might just draw it back down south a bit more yet. Just looking at this regression trend that I popped in late last year, and well, as I say, with that retracement, might just come back to the mean reversal on that. Right, okay. He's just pressed the wrong button there. I will leave it there. I'll speak to you, as I say, if you want to join the room, you can come join the room in a short while. Otherwise, I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.